What's up, YouTube? It's Anthony Castillo with you guys with another conversation and a freedom of expression. So, with this one in mind, I have two concepts. I have a hat and I also have a bowl. So, this one is going to be called Pendulum Force. And some of us kind of understand what that might mean, pendulum force, or like a pendulum. When we think of a pendulum, we think of it swinging back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And there's like a force of gravity or a force of, there's a physics to it. You know, there's a physics to understanding the force of something going in this direction and the force of going in the opposite direction. And the reason for this particular talk is to kind of invite this force of that reaches beyond an understanding. It's more or less about how to understand the forces of what is happening here, right? So when we force something too much, we don't allow it to give space, right? We don't give it time to grow. You know, spirituality is about growth and also about taking note of our awareness of how we are growing. You know, we sometimes focus too much on, you know, microscopic levels, you know, very microscopic levels of just negativity and stuff like that. And I don't want to use words like that on here because they give off that vibration. And, you know, we may think it doesn't, but some of us do see it. Some of us acknowledge it, especially those in the community of growth, community in, you know, spiritual practices out there. I would say they acknowledge it. They also are aware of it, especially as we evolve more and more. So the reason behind this is to kind of just make us aware of our vibrations, I would say. And that sounds very cliche. I know I'm going to come in with some cliche stuff, but it's okay to kind of understand that pendulum force when we allow something to just be, right? We allow something to just allow it to be. So we can take these segments that we go through life one step at a time, just one step at a time, and find, you know, gratitude. Gratitude is a great practice. It's a great practice to do. Even if you have everything, you know, if you're not content, I would say, if you're not content with where you're at and you're always on that hustle and bustle, like, it's good to be ambitious, it's good to be full of with a driven like spiritual go-getter, but at times you have to reflect and you have to say, you know, I can be grateful in this moment. I don't need to be in the state of control. I don't need to be always attaching myself to control, because control only causes the force of that pendulum to get out of control. It can get out of control when you're forcing something too much. And that's kind of the takeaway from this. So the pendulum force, it is up for various interpretations. There is a momentum and a physics to something when you're forcing something too much, and the reason behind this direction is to reconfigure and realign the direction, you know, because there has to be a realignment. And if there's not a realignment, then we're not in unity, right? So imagine having to take that unity out of its alignment. It's gonna cause like something, right? Cause and effect. There's lots of studies on physics, on cause and effect. Movement studies, for instance, carries a lot of cause and effect. You prime something, even in the psychological community, priming is a type of like repetitive motion, or a repetitive a priming is like priming the mind, right? The psyche, the soul. You're priming something and you're compounding over and over and over and over until either you're priming something good or the opposite. And when the opposite is not good, the opposite reaps, or I don't want to say reaps, it happens. And anyways, aside from that, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an expression of this direction, because the alignment of the heart and the alignment of where we're going with this direction is very important, especially with science, as well as philosophical application, and getting to the root of where this is going. Because we need to take a breath. We need to release what we have, what we got, what's there, and just find growth. We need to grow as people. We need to grow as individuality as well, individuals. So that, yeah, guys. Well, remember to subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.